Alright guys, so last night was the end of our gaming event. We're just have a quick little recap before I return Greg to the castle so he doesn't turn into a pumpkin. Or into a pumpkin spice, because it is mid-October, so everything's pumpkin spice. Thankfully, it was not pumpkin spice. Was the last game we played last night. Those of you who saw the previous part, of course, you know that we got into 007 Everything or Nothing, as made for the GameCube back when it was originally released. There is a Game Boy Advance version, I learned, that came out like later, or maybe came out around the same time, I'm not sure. But the GameCube version is the full version, and one of the great features, one of the reasons why I picked it as the main game for this entire event, is because of the really cool cooperative mode that they have in the game. I'll let Greg say a couple things about it if you want to, about your experience with the game.
Well, it was the first time I ever played this, and I thought it was really well done. It definitely, we played for about, what, Joe, about over 3 hours?
Pretty close to 4.5 hours.
It's a really cool game. It's very fun to play, especially if you like the Bond series games that N64 and GameCube put out. It's really cool that they kept it in the style of the GoldenEye engine, the way it was built. I, in fact, mentioned to Joey last night, I said, it would have been great if they would have turned this into a real movie. With Pierce Brosnan, it would have been great to have him in another Bond film before his time being Bond was up. A little side note about the pumpkin spice. I like almost everything pumpkin spice. There's a few things I'm not crazy about, but most pumpkin spice stuff is pretty good to me. I definitely would recommend this game for retro gamers. If you like James Bond and you like the GoldenEye game, this definitely would suit all your needs.
A couple of things to add to his points. I'll start with the pumpkin spice first. I am pretty much in agreement. I do rather enjoy a lot of pumpkin spice things. Definitely pumpkin spice coffee creamer is probably my favorite. Some of the pumpkin spice coffees themselves that has the tones of it in the actual brand, I don't like those as much as a creamer, but they're still pretty enjoyable. Definitely anything pumpkin spice as far as like sweet pastries go, I really enjoy. That's one of the areas where Dunkin' Donuts really excels to me, is when it's pumpkin spice season and they put out their stuff, whether you get their donuts or even their coffees, they're on the money when it comes to the pumpkin spice. I would say top of the list for what I do not like in pumpkin spice is pumpkin spice Pennzoil. And if you don't believe that that exists, go look on Facebook, because if it's on Facebook, it has to be true.
Yeah, part of the pumpkin spice thing I do like also are cookies.
Mm.
And Starbucks makes a pretty decent pumpkin spice scone.
I have to try that.
It's very dense, it crumbles a lot, but I actually do like it. The type of scones, they're not a sweet scone. It's more like something like what you would have at Starbucks with your coffee, latte, frappuccino, whatever, floats your boat of the coffee bean experience.
Quick add in there, he didn't mention it, but chances are he's tried it and liked it. Pumpkin spice muffins.
Yes.
Yes. Something about just the texture and just thematically the flavors of muffins really lends itself well to that pumpkin spice flavor. Definitely. Mm-hmm. Adding to his points about the 007 game in terms of like if they had turned it into a movie, the other cool thing about that game is if you're playing single player and you're playing the whole story mode, it's very much, you saw part of it, very much presented like an actual Bond film, the way they were making Bond films at the time. The World Is Not Enough had been out, Die Another Day had been out. I want to say that it had just come out maybe the year prior. And so when this came out, it's got that same story structure like those movies would have. Start off with this teaser that you play, classic Bond thing. You start off with the teaser, you get through the teaser, you beat that, that's your first mission, it's a small mission. And then they put you through some training, and they actually have John Cleese's voice as Q, because he's Q in the movies at that point, giving you instructions, telling you about the gadgets that you have at your disposal, telling you how to use them. And you also have the lady who played M, Judy, what's her name? Oh yeah. She's the voice of M in it. Pierce Brosnan is the voice of James Bond in the game. Shannon Elizabeth plays a character in there as well. And the villain, I'm not giving you any spoilers, although the game's old enough that you shouldn't care anymore, but the main villain of the game is voiced by William Dafoe. So doesn't that sound freaking cool as hell? I think it sounds cool as hell.
William Dafoe, the man who played the Green Goblin in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yeah. Not to mention a plethora of other roles that he's always great in. Mm-hmm. And the gameplay is great, which he can attest to from the co-op mode. The missions are great, the great storyline. In addition to what you saw, you get to control cars. You got all these vehicles that you can drive, and you know, special controls for that. The action with the vehicles is great. The action when it's you as the agent is great. All sorts of cool weapons. Tell them about the sniper rifle since you were using it a lot last night.
The sniper rifle it's a pretty cool feature in the game as part of the weapons. The only flaw that I saw in it, when you use the zoom of the sniper rifle, you don't have the targeting mechanism like you would do on the other guns, like either a shotgun or a pistol or any of that.
Well, there's actually a reason for that. And the reason why is because when you go into the sniper view, they're showing it to you through the scope. So there is a crosshair.
Right.
That's the reason why. You do have to specifically aim. It's not automatically going to point it at the enemies for you. And just to let you know, in the game, as you're going through, it doesn't automatically do it either unless you trigger the targeting system. And where it becomes especially useful, and this is one of the upgrades from the GoldenEye engine, is that particularly if you're flushed up against the wall, you're looking around the corner, you can use that targeting thing. Basically, it'll help you figure out where you're going to shoot when you duck around the corner.
One of the other best weapons that I think is underrated in the game is that shotgun.
Yes.
When you fire that shotgun and you see the enemy flipping over and doing crazy flips from being shot, it's a pretty funny thing. It really is. It's kind of almost comical.
Another comical thing, I was able to use this a lot on the last mission that we were kind of struggling with. You're using the rocket launcher. And there's a room full of enemies, and you fire it in there, and it's like, boom, and you actually see your body fly out like, ah, you know? It's pretty cool. It's gratifying, and it's also humorous.
The other thing I kind of liked, but made the co-op missions difficult, was every time you ran through a scenario, when the enemies would come out, was not always the same.
Right. Depending on how you interact with the environment and with enemies on the screen, they will change the way that they behave, which in a way makes it more realistic, but as you put out, if it's already a tough mission, sometimes you want that familiarity to be able to get through it like you would on other games.
So going along with Joey's statement, we had a real hard time on the second phase of the Tunisia mission. We literally spent hours on that trying to defeat it, and unfortunately, it defeated us.
Yeah. But in our defense, back when I originally had this game, I was playing these missions with my ex's son, and we probably spent a solid week or longer on that mission, coming back to it, strategizing. But the cool thing is, at this point, you've already seen it in the video, you know, we were coming up with our own strategies, and although we did not win the mission, there were times where at least we came closer. We definitely were making progress. And if we had enough time, like let's say we got together again a week from now, and we went at it, I mean, I'm certain that we would eventually hit it. And speaking from experience, having beat that in the past with my ex's son, the other missions, they're not as hard as that, but they're great, they're fun. So each chapter takes place in a completely different area regionally. Basically, there's 4 scenes per chapter. Co-op it's more of a finite, beatable storyline. Definitely worth checking out. I'm sure the Game Boy Advance version is very close because the Game Boy Advance, the hardware and that does allow for it to have a lot more features than previous versions of Game Boy, that's for sure.
Yeah, and speaking with games like this and games like GoldenEye, and again, like you mentioned yesterday about the retro gaming, I think it would be really interesting if the modern day companies now would kind of take those games, remaster them, bring it up to speed, so where we can still enjoy the games with the modern day technology.
Right.
And using the same gameplay as when they were first released on.
Right. Similar to our experience with the Ninja Turtles, Turtles of Time, it was reshelled, as they worded it, reshelled for PlayStation 3. I agree, it'd be cool to have a new re-engineered port for modern consoles. It'd be pretty cool because, as you can tell by our enthusiasm playing the game, that even though it's been well over a decade since that game had come out, it carries over very well to today. It doesn't get old. It's very enjoyable to play.
Yeah, I agree.
So just a quick recap. I picked him up from sunny land of, of Norwalk, Connecticut. Came over here first night. We played some Turtles, played some old NES games. Next day, we got into some badass Golden Axe.
Yep.
Which was re-engineered to be able to play on modern platforms. You can play it on PS3 and PS4. Downloadable, of course. And we ended the event with everything or nothing, as we were just talking about. This is basically it. Once we're done here, we're just going to enjoy the rest of the day, and then I'm going to run home. Really hope you enjoy this. We've had a lot of fun making these videos these couple of days, definitely. Definitely had a lot of fun playing the games. If you enjoy watching half as much as we enjoyed actually playing these games and talking to you about it, then I think we had a pretty good thing going here. So please like, subscribe, share, stalk. Got any comments about what you're seeing here? You know, maybe share some of your experiences with the same games or similar games. Drop them in the comments below. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Later.
Laters.